People in New York are so kind, so welcoming. Everybody we met on the street wanted to help us, and they were just present. So much more than Sydney. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like this whole tall poppy syndrome is massive here. Welcome back to another episode of Self-Done Beautiful Humans. I am doing a solo episode today. I love these episodes, and I feel like I haven't jumped on the mic by myself in a while. I thought I'd start with a little life update. I recently went to New York for 9 days. New York is a crazy place, and I think it's a place we should all go once in our life. I went and met one of my best friends, Robbie. She's been living there modeling for the last 18 months. And then my other girlfriend, Moral, came. And we knew a bunch of other people there. We went out, we tried all the food, did gym classes. We really did it all. It was such a balanced trip. I was blown away by the matcha culture in New York City. Oh my God. Every corner you turn, there is an epic matcha spot with all the milks you can imagine. They've got lavender matcha, CBD matcha, like so many different ones. And I was definitely getting too many a day because they're 13 Aussie dollars a matcha. Side note, New York is the most expensive place I've ever been. You really can't be on a budget there. Like, it's Australian prices in the US dollar. So, yeah, I couldn't have done any more than 9 days because it really did break the bank. But it was so worth it. On my flight home from New York, I was kind of thinking about what I learned and what I loved about my trip. And I thought, why don't I do a podcast episode on it? So today, I'm going to share 10 things I learned on my recent trip to New York. The first thing I learned was not to beat yourself up if you fall off your wellness train. So I haven't had a margarita this year, like an alcoholic marg, not a pizza. I haven't had a marg this year, and I had done 24 hours of travel, got off the plane. My girlfriends are like, we're going out. And if anyone's been to New York, the drinks there are like doubles, and we were having margs, and I had one, and I was so drunk off one margarita. We had such a fun night, ended up at like a kebab store, got a kebab bowl with all the works, woke up the next day, and I felt so guilty. I felt so guilty for going out, drinking, eating like yucky takeaway. And I did my journaling as I do every single morning. And I kind of reflected on the night, and I was like, I had so much fun with my friends in New York City. It's so okay to not be in routine and to drink and to go out every once in a while when it's worth it and when you're with your friends. So I think it was a really good learning for me that it's actually healthy to not always be healthy. It's healthy to be balanced, and it's healthy to just be in the moment. And we were so in the moment. We were dancing, like the girls were all grinding on each other. Like we were literally having the best time. And when I think about my trip, I think about those nights out, and it was so much fun. And I can come back to my routine whenever I need, but that was a really fun experience. I also resonate on it because it reminded me of my why, because I did feel really shit the next day. Not just the guilt, but also like my gut and my skin, and was just like, oh my God. So it reminded me of my why and why I've chosen to be more sober curious. And it was a really good reminder of why I love my routine, why I love being hydrated, why I love early nights, getting my sleep. Like that to me is my priority. So it was also a good reminder and allowed me to get back into my routine for the tail end of the trip. My second one is to go on a girls' trip even if you're in a relationship. So Tom and I have been together for 18 months now, and I haven't done a girls' trip. I've only been away with him. And pre-Tom, a girls' trip was like on the reg. I'm such a girls' girl. Like I love being with the girls, getting dressed up, going for food, and just like walking around and drinking matcha, like simple girl stuff. And yeah, it was just such a good reminder to not think because you're in a relationship, you don't go on girls' trips. Like that should be a priority for the rest of your life. So I definitely want to make that something I do every single year, do a girls' trip. We just had such good chats, such good laughs, and your friendships are forever. So it's so important to really nurture them. My third one is acknowledge your boundaries. So I had the most amazing time with all of my girlfriends. I had so much energy and we were socializing and it was so, so good. But I realized that for me, one boundary is my morning and nighttime routine. Like, I need to do that no matter what. So, the first 4 nights of my New York trip, I stayed at my friend Robbie's house. And that was being in each other's space and it was so special to have that quality time. But then the second half of my trip, I stayed at this hotel called the Ludlow. And I realized that that space, coming back to my own space and being able to do my morning and nighttime routine by myself, is a really important boundary in my life. And I think now going into trips, I need that space. Like if it costs more or I have to sacrifice a little bit of my trip to have that alone solo space, I need to do it. That's a really important boundary because then I can show up as my best self to my friends. I can show up as my best self to myself. So I realized a few boundaries and yeah, just really acknowledging them and not falling into peer pressure as well. Like the end of the trip, I was opting for mocktails and just soda water and lime because I did drink those first 2 nights, which was a lot for me when you haven't drank all year really. And yeah, I just stuck to my boundaries and I felt really good about it. I left New York feeling really energized, really inspired, really happy. And I think it's because of my boundaries and then really honoring them. My fourth learning is food is more than fuel. Food is a way to connect to people. I think my favorite moment of my whole New York trip was having a bagel with my friend Shimon Morale. We found this place that did gluten-free bagels, dairy-free schmear. Like I ate this bagel and it was so good. And it wasn't me being like, okay, am I hitting my protein goals? Am I hitting this? It was just pure enjoyment. And that is what food is about. I think I always go back to the 80-20 rule, but you know, we get so swept up in food is fuel. But I just want us to let go of that and remember that it's a way to connect to people. It's a way to make memories. Like it was worth me not feeling 100% maybe after that bagel because of the memory. Like that is core memory. I had such a good time with my girlfriends. I really want to encourage you that when you travel, that you try the foods you want to try and try get out of your head. When you're in a stressed state, your body's digestion doesn't work as well. When you're relaxed, your body will work for you. So, yeah, go on that trip and eat the damn bagel, eat the damn pizza. Like, go and enjoy it because it's just worth it. My fifth learning is walking is the GOAT. In New York, we were walking 20,000 steps a day without even thinking about it. You just walk. I think about the moment I got off the plane. I get ready really quickly because we were going out and it was a 30-minute walk to dinner, but that's just normal. Like in Sydney, if we were like, okay, we got dressed now, it's a 30-minute walk. You would Uber, but in New York, it's just the norm. And I want to take that on because going on from eating whatever we wanted, you're walking so much as well. It's so good for your digestion. Like after dinner, you're walking. You kind of never really feel heavy. And so being back in Sydney, it's like if I need to go to the post office or the grocery store, just asking myself, can I walk? And it's two birds, one stone. So I really, really want to increase my steps. I feel like I do all my walking in the morning and then I don't walk for the rest of the day. But spreading my walking over the day is going to have such a big impact on my digestion, on my mental clarity, on so many things. So, yeah, even if it's just incorporating another 5,000 steps into my day, I think it will make a really big difference here in Oz. My sixth learning was traveling is the best thing we can spend our money on. So, of course, I know going to New York is such a luxury. I really, really acknowledge that. But I think a lot of us spend money on new clothes, new bags, and other things. But traveling to me is unbeatable when it comes to where you put your money. You have new experiences, connect with new people, you get inspired. I took a gap year when I finished year 12, and that was the best decision, taking a full year off. I did 4 months in Europe. And yeah, since that, it really honed into me how important it is because every time I come back from my travels, I feel like I can give 120% into my work. I feel like I just have this energy and excitement about life because there's so much more than just like a 5 kilometer radius that we stay in when we're at home. So, traveling to me is so important. And even if it's just camping or going somewhere an hour away, it's just about getting out of your normal routine. I think it's so powerful. Getting out of your routine will allow you to come home and be better at your routine in a way. So, yeah, I really think traveling, if you can do it, get out there and do it. Another thing I learned was be kinder and more welcoming. People in New York are so kind, so welcoming. Everybody we met on the street wanted to help us. They would ask questions about what we do and they were just present. So much more than Sydney. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like this whole tall poppy syndrome is massive here. Like, it's rare you find someone that wants to help you. There's a little bit more jealousy. I don't know why, but in New York, it was just such a creative space full of hustlers trying to make their dreams come true. And I think we can learn from that. Like, be open to new friendships, be open to helping someone, be open to networking. So much of our success comes from the people in our life. And you could meet a stranger today that could change your entire life. That's what happened to me when I was 15. I met a stranger who really believed in me and then put me in touch with his brother and did this shoot. And that started my whole modeling career. It was being nice to a stranger that actually started this whole trajectory of my life. And there's so many other moments where it's just being kind to someone and they want to be kind back. So, yeah, just be kinder and give more. Because yeah, the New Yorkers know what they're doing. They're amazing at that. My eighth learning was the power of nature. So New York is crazy. Everywhere you look, you see buildings. It really is a concrete jungle. And I missed being in nature so much. I didn't realize how much being in nature impacts my mental state. Like, there was one day where I said, I just need to go to Central Park and I just need to be in nature because the building scene was just didn't feel like myself. So yeah, just being in nature is amazing and I have such appreciation to live where I live. I also went last weekend to Osborne House, which is near Bowral, and it's one of the nicest places I've ever stayed. You feel like you're in a forest lodge in Canada. We did this thing called forest bathing where they have ice baths and saunas, but you're surrounded by these gorgeous tall trees. And that 24 hours at Osborne House recharged me so much. I realized that if I was to live anywhere else, it would need to have a beach or a forest or green. Like, New York's amazing to visit, but I don't actually think I could live there long term, maybe a month here and there. So yeah, just the power of nature was really, really clear to me that trip. Another thing I learned on my trip was that I am a one-on-one girly. I knew that my love language was quality time, but I'm also such a social person. So I thought like group settings were my thing because I love like just chatting to everyone. But having 9 days with the girls and having moments with the big group and then moments one on one, I am such a one on one person. I think I just love deep conversations. And I often find in a group, you can't go that deep because someone distracts you or, it's just harder in a big group. So, understanding that I'm a one on one person is really going to help me with my friendships because I would rather say no to a dinner and yes to seeing someone for a matcha or a one on one dinner or coming over for a sauna because I know that my cup will feel fuller from that. So I think learning if you prefer group settings or being one on one is a really good way to kind of nurture your friendships and like communicate that with the people in your life so that they don't get offended if you don't go to certain things. Just be like, I know my energy and I know that I prefer this sort of environment. So, yeah, that was a big learning for me. I've always just been so social, such a social butterfly. But yeah, those one on one moments, like how I said, just having a bagel with a friend or walking around Central Park and just really getting deep. I feel like it's just the amount of time you spend with someone. So often that first 15 minutes is quite surface level. How are you? Da da da. Da. But then you might stumble upon a topic that you both go so deep in. And my biggest thing that I've realized is most women that I meet are in their late 20s who have gone off the birth control pill. You open that can of worms, damn, you go deep. You start talking about the luteal phase. You start talking about what PMS symptoms you have. You start talking about your supplements. And that is the stuff that I love. Like, I honestly could talk about that all day. I did find when I had my one on one chats and we could talk about those things so deeply, so honestly, so vulnerable, that's when I felt really, really connected. And that leads really nicely to my last learning, which was don't let your insecurities ruin the moment. So, as you guys know, I've gone off the pill and I feel like I am dealing with the hormonal acne element now. And the week before I was leaving, I literally was sending memos to my best friend Robbie crying because I was just feeling so insecure. Like I really pictured myself in New York feeling like super confident and beautiful and everything like that. And it was kind of all I was thinking about. Like the whole plane ride over, I was just like on my selfie cam looking at my face. And this is the worst thing you could do when you're going through a breakout. You should be focusing. You shouldn't really be looking at your face so close up because also no one sees our face how we see it. So I remember just feeling really insecure and, my whole energy was not the same. My negative self-talk was quite bad. And, I'm a girl who's been worked so hard on having this toolkit to have positive self-talk and be that girl. But, when life throws you challenges, I'll be the first one to put up my hand and be like, it was really difficult and it still is really difficult. But I had this moment where I was like, I'm in New York right now. I'm not going to let this ruin my time. I'm here with my girlfriends. No one's thinking, oh, we don't want to hang out with Dom because she's got pimples. Like, do you know what I mean? When you say it out loud, you're like, that is so silly. But I'm sure so many of you listening can resonate where it really consumes you. You can't have conversations with people because you're thinking about, oh my God, my face. So yeah, I had to really realize that I'm so much more than the exterior. Your energy is what really draws people in and makes them feel connected and safe with you. And yeah, I just really had to work on it. So doing my morning and nighttime routine with my journaling really, really helped me because otherwise my thoughts would just run crazy. And by putting it on paper, I was like, no, first of all, I have so much to be grateful for. I'm in New York with my best friends. The weather was amazing. We were going to such amazing restaurants. It was just good vibes. There's so much to be grateful for. And why ruin that by stressing about something I can't control? And I think that's the biggest lesson for me is that I can't control what's going on with my skin. I'm doing everything in my power, eating well, supplements, I'm not drinking now, doing everything I can, and I'm not going to let it ruin my moment, ruin my light, ruin my shine. So yeah, it was a really good learning and a bit more of a personal one to end the podcast. But yeah, those are 10 things I learned on my New York City trip. I loved every moment of it. And if you ever have the chance to go, I really recommend it, especially for the wellness girlies. There's such a cool wellness space there. Like, there was a place called Happier Grocery Store, the coolest grocery store ever. It's like Health Emporium on steroids and really modern and cool. I really, really enjoyed having that girls' trip. So, yeah, that's all from me today. I feel like I'm really in this growth period in my life, dealing with the changes from the pill, and feel so grateful for the self-dom community because it makes me really feel part of something. And I feel like I'm connecting to a lot of you girls via DMs, talking about our skin, talking about our gut, talking about these things that I love talking about. So always feel free to DM me. And yeah, if you love this episode, share it on your story because it really means the world when I see that. And also, don't forget to subscribe. I don't often remind you, but it really would mean the world if you subscribed to the potty. I'll see you on the next episode.